I'm Darin Reffitt, the volunteer chair of IASA's eLearning Committee and director of product marketing excellence with Guidewire Software. And welcome to Sound Bytes, IASA's new short-form video series featuring bite-sized advice on topics that are important to insurers. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by Jon Picoult, founder of Watermark Consulting and a noted authority on customer and employee experience. Jon helps companies impress their customers and inspire their employees by creating raving fans who drive business growth. Jon has personally advised the CEOs and executives at some of the world's foremost brands, with his clients collectively representing over 1 million employees and more than $500 billion in annual revenues. His insights have been featured by dozens of media companies, including the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, NBC News, and Forbes. And best of all, you're going to get to hear from him as a keynote at January's IASA OnPOINT event. So Jon, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So Jon, in light of the pandemic, many organizations have seen really large spikes in their customer service contact volumes. We're experiencing higher than normal call volumes is pretty much the most annoying phrase that we can experience collectively as a community. And it's so too familiar for all of us. So do you see this as a really key issue for companies right now?
Yes, this is a key issue for companies. It's always been an issue for companies. Even pre-COVID, studies showed that people having to wait to speak to a sales or a service representative over the phone is one of the most common annoyances and frustrations that consumers had. And of course, it's only been aggravated in the COVID era, given the fact that people aren't going to retail stores. Oftentimes, they can only transact business or ask questions over the phone. And so those extended call volumes really do sap customer satisfaction and have an impact on loyalty. The other reason, too, why it's an issue is actually the impact on employees. If working in a call center is already a difficult job, if you're working in a call center where before any customer even gets to you, they're frustrated because they've had to wait for an extended period just to speak with you, by the time they come through and you pick up that line, while you've done nothing to them as an employee, they're not going to be very happy. And so as an employee, an agent in a call center, that's a really tough place to be because basically every time that phone rings and you're picking it up, you can rest assured that there's going to be a customer on the other end of the line who's already frustrated, already dissatisfied, even before you've had a chance to speak with them. And that's a really tough position to put the workforce in, which is another reason why it's a key issue for companies.
Wow, you just gave me flashbacks of my college days working part-time in the call center at a utility company and just how much we all struggled during a power outage with the way we were treated. So how should businesses be handling this surge in customer service inquiries?
Yeah, there are a number of ways that companies can tackle this surge in call volumes, but one I'd like to highlight for you and your audience is one that really doesn't get talked about much, but I think it can actually have a very meaningful impact both on short-term and long-term management of these call volume spikes. And it really has to do with the idea of making the calls go away in the first place. A lot of calls that come into organizations, be it in the insurance and financial services industry or really any industry, a lot of calls are unnecessary. They're avoidable. And companies that are really good at managing their customer experience, they're very effective in dissecting why people are calling and then using that to figure out what kind of changes can they make to really obviate the need for the customer to even make that call in the first place. And this is something that often doesn't get enough attention, particularly in times where there's a surge of volume. People are just focused on, I got to answer the call, get to the next one. But what I recommend companies do, a lot of companies track what people are calling about. Maybe they're calling about their bill, they're calling with a coverage question, they're calling with a claim status question. It's actually more important to track not what people are calling about, but why they're calling. Because once you know why they're calling, why are they calling about that bill? Why are they calling with that claim status question? Why are they calling with the coverage question? Then you've got an opportunity to think, what could we do differently upstream in the customer experience? Maybe eliminating some ambiguity on the bill, clarifying some aspect of the coverage so that people don't need to call and ask about it, making sure that we set expectations during claim interactions so people know when we're going to contact them next with an update. These are all examples of things that you can do upstream that help eliminate the need for people to contact you downstream. And that can have a very significant impact on the volume of calls that are coming in. And it allows your service representatives and your claim representatives to really focus their efforts on the customers that have real questions, if you will, questions that couldn't have been answered upstream with a better experience, but they've got maybe tougher, complex issues, and they can focus on those and address them. So that's something that I would definitely recommend that every company do, is to step back and say, not what are our customers calling about, but why are they calling, and what can we do to start to chip away at each of those reasons and maybe take them off the table, preempt some proportion of those calls from coming in the first place. So not only are we delivering a better experience to customers who don't really want to call us with that question in the first place, but we're also reducing the stress on our own operating infrastructure.
Well, thank you so much for those great insights, Jon. That's definitely a unique view on how to handle the problem and not really the answer I was expecting. So as I mentioned earlier, Jon will be the keynote at our IASA OnPOINT event on January 25th, and you can learn more about that event at iasa.org/onpoint. Jon, thank you so much again for joining us. One last question. If our viewers want to find you online or connect with you on social media, what's the best way to do so?
Yes, so my contact information is available on my firm's website, which is www.watermarkconsult.net. Or you could Google Watermark Consulting or Google Jon Picoult. You can find me on Twitter. Handle is Jon Picoult, JONPICOULT. Or you could also look me up on LinkedIn.
Great, thanks again. I hope our viewers enjoyed this video, and we welcome your feedback. If you have questions that you'd like to ask, or if you'd like to suggest some topics to cover in future episodes of Sound Bytes, you can tweet at me at DM Reffitt. You can tweet at IASA at IASA Inc. And you can also email me at dreffitt@guidewire.com. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Sound Bytes.